during the pandemic, because there wasn't anything else to do, all I did was stream. And I would have my bed in the same room as my PC, and so I would constantly be in my work mode. I would constantly be like, what can I improve? What can I do better? How can I stream more? And that was really bad for my brain. I burned out really, really badly.
Aloha everyone, and welcome to Justaposition, the podcast where we explore mental health, vulnerability, and personal life journeys featuring creators you know and love. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and listen to new episodes out every Thursday wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am very excited to introduce this guest because not only is she someone who I got to meet in November and we had a really cool connection, but I've also never had a content creator like you before, a Twitch streamer, and someone who is really invested into the world of gaming. So I'm fascinated by your story, and I'm really excited to introduce you to everyone. Say hello, Niki.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I feel like it was such a cool, we got to meet at Web Summit, which I've talked about on the podcast before. It's basically like this conference that happens in Portugal where people from all over the world kind of come and talk about technology and innovation and social impact. And you were invited as a speaker, right?
I was, yeah. It was such a weird experience, but I loved it. It was so fun.
It was so cool. We got to meet. It was like super cool to connect with you there. And for anyone who isn't familiar with who you are, like, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Niki. I'm online known as Nihachu, and as you said, I'm a Twitch streamer. I got big through playing Minecraft, but currently I just kind of do everything, whatever I enjoy. And I've been doing this for, I think, 4 years, and nice. I've been doing it full-time as my job for 3 years.
Nice. Wow. So 1 year after you started, you got to switch to full-time.
Yeah, it was crazy. Very unexpected as well.
Yeah, it was super cool because even when I was like reading like interviews that you've done in articles, like you experienced really fast, kind of overwhelming growth that just like boom happened out of nowhere, and it's just been like a crazy journey for you since. Like, man, in 4 years, that's really, really incredible. I mean, like, I will get into kind of like a little bit of your story later, which I'm really invested in, but you primarily stream on Twitch. Do you go through a variety of games? I'll be 100% honest as I go into this, and please don't come for me, everyone who's listening. I am so ignorant when it comes to video games. Like, I know so little about it, which is why I'm like so fascinated to have you on to like really hear kind of about you. But I just want to set a precursor. I apologize for knowing so little about gaming. It's like a whole new world to me. But like, do you kind of switch through like a variety of games? Because I saw Minecraft was kind of like your OG that you really started with. Do you have like any favorite games that you usually kind of like switch between throughout your streaming?
So I do, definitely. Because I mainly started playing Minecraft because all my friends started playing Minecraft. I wouldn't consider myself a Minecraft player just because I'm not good at the game and I kind of just play it for fun.
Yeah.
But I have a few games that I play on stream, but then I also have games that I play off stream because like my audience isn't interested and stuff like that. So the games I'm really good at and the games I really like care about, I mainly play off stream because I want to keep it as a hobby. But currently I play Valorant, which is like a shooter game. I really like that one. I like playing story games. There are a lot of like really sweet story games that I enjoy. I've always played video games, so I've always just enjoyed showing people what I enjoy and what I do, even off stream. So yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's so fun, and it's cool to see that passion from you. And even in this episode, I do kind of want to go deeper into the more personal side of you and some of the personal experiences you have had. Because while, of course, there's the whole world of gaming, and that's what you're, really known for, I really am invested. And even when I was like doing a little bit of my research for the episode, I was like, yeah, the games are cool, but like I want to know about you and like your personal story. And that's really what I want to like dig deep into with this episode because I think so many aspects of the presence that you've really built online are super motivational and inspirational. I think a lot of things that the world needs to hear. But before we deep dive into the deeper stuff, I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions, just some fun questions that I ask to every person on the podcast. So first, what is your go-to coffee order? I need to know.
Ooh, okay. I actually have it right here. That's
there you
funny
go.
that you say that.
And it's black. Oh my gosh, yes. Are you a black coffee drinker too?
I am. So this is it's from Starbucks. I ordered it this morning. Okay. It is a cold brew with 1 pump of sugar-free vanilla syrup. Oh, that's my go-to. But I'm also a matcha girly. I love matcha. Matcha is my thing. So yeah, I love it.
I love it. Oh, that's great. I know I always have like a little bit of a respect for other people who drink black coffee because like I like mine so bitter and just disgusting and dark with like no sweetness or soul in it. Like that's my favorite route of going when it comes to coffee. But if you like matcha too, have you tried a dirty matcha before?
Yes, it is good. And dirty chai. Dirty chai is actually my favorite fall drink. But yeah, I've had dirty matcha before. I need my caffeine, I need my coffee. So that is also, I drink that a lot.
Yeah, no, I always say it's a prerequisite of being a content creator online that you have to have an addiction to caffeine and coffee. It just kind of comes with the territory.
Very true,
okay,
very
love
true.
It. What is your newest hobby? Like your newest thing that you're kind of like obsessed with?
Oh, okay. So I've just moved to LA about 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Since I moved here, we got a little group together and we go climbing. So I've been going climbing recently and I've really enjoyed it.
No way.
I never thought it was my thing. Because I'm not scared of heights, but I have a lot of respect for heights. And also I don't trust myself enough to climb up a wall, I thought. But it's really fun.
That's so cool. So like rock climbing centers where you kind of like go, that is so cool. LA has a lot of them. And I went to like a center, I think it was like last year. And man, it's a workout. Holy shit. Like I was
really
like huffing and puffing the whole time.
Yeah. And I'm surprised of how many people do it. Because I never thought it was a thing. Like, yeah, I know a few people who go rock climbing, but it's like not a thing. But here, everyone I tell, they're like, oh yeah, I did that, or I'm doing that. It's so fun. And I'm like, whoa, that's surprising.
It's fun and it works out your upper body. Like that's a really good workout. And especially if you have a group that you're going with, that's super fun. Oh, I love that. That's a cool new hobby. Yeah, it's so
fun.
Yeah, respect it.
Thank
okay,
you.
And then last rapid fire question. What is your favorite genre of music?
Ooh, okay. Don't judge me because my audience always judges me for it. So I don't fully know what to call it, but my Spotify calls it emo rap. So it's like sad rap. I like emotional music. I like sad music because I feel like it's the like rawest emotion to like translate in song. And yeah, my Spotify calls it emo rap. I would just call it sad music. So yeah.
Okay. Hey, I feel you though, because all of my music, if you were to look at the lyrics of all of the songs that I listen to like on a regular basis, my therapist would be very worried because I love sad music. There's something about it that just gets me in like my sad boy phase. And I'm just like, oh, I feel the emotions. So I respect it. And you know what? Rap is really fun too. I'll have to check out emo rap because I've never heard of that before, but it sounds kind of cool.
I can send you a playlist.
Yes, please do. I will listen to it. I respect different genres of music. So, okay. Thank you for answering the rapid fire. Let's jump in to the deep dive questions. I first want to just kind of ask you like a little bit about your background and like how you got started streaming on Twitch. What kind of drove that passion? Why the hell you even wanted to get online in the first place?
Okay, so I always played video games growing up. I have one younger brother and then a stepbrother I grew up with, and they always played video games, and it was always this like forbidden thing for me because I grew up in a family where they would say girls aren't allowed to play video games. It's not a girly thing.
Really?
I had to do girly things. Yeah. So I would like steal my brother's Nintendos and I would like secretly play games. And through that I grew up wanting to play video games. And I played this game called League of Legends. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Yeah. I played that game growing up, and I got really good at it. And I found a lot of friends who would play the same game. And I moved to Switzerland when I was 16 because my mom moved there.
Oh, cool.
And right after, or 17, I'm not too sure, 16 or 17. And right after, I had operations on my legs, which meant that I couldn't walk for like a whole year.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was kind of trapped in my room, not knowing anyone, not being able to walk, while all my friends online were at school or at work. So I needed to do something. I was going crazy in my own room. So I mean, I've always heard about Twitch streamers and YouTube. Like, I've watched YouTubers growing up. I've never watched Twitch streamers, but I always heard that that's a thing. So I figured I might as well start like streaming myself playing League of Legends, because that's the game I was good at. And I really enjoyed it, and I did it daily. I would wake up, play the game, go to sleep. That was basically my schedule. And when I moved out at 17, and when I moved out, I still continued doing so. And then COVID happened, and everything blew up. I found friends through this show called Love or Host, which is like a Twitch show, like a Twitch dating show. It's not real. It's just like a fun content thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we started playing Minecraft, and it kind of like blew up overnight. Yeah, and that's kind of how it happened. So I couldn't walk. I always played video games, and I just decided, hey, that might be something cool to do, and it was.
Oh my gosh, that is such a badass story. That's really cool because, first of all, props to you for, telling everyone who said that girls shouldn't play video games, giving them the middle finger. That's pretty cool. Because, and then additionally on top of that, I had no idea about like the surgical operation on your legs and like the amount of time that you weren't able to walk. That is, wow, crazy. But that is so cool that you were able to utilize that time as kind of like a way to be able to connect with other people online, especially with something like Twitch streaming or just streaming in general, which is such like it's not a new space. It's been around for a while, but it has, in the recent years just absolutely exploded. And the fact that you've been able to see growth from that is really cool. I mean, and I think it explains a lot from even the, little bit of research that I've done looking into your story, because one of the things I've respected about you so much is how much you champion the message that there is space and respect for girls and women within the gaming space, because it has been perceived as such a male-dominated industry, which it's not. And I think it's kind of ridiculous that is the notion. But I think that kind of, would you say like your experience of growing up being told that message of like, video games aren't for girls, really kind of propelled you to want to spread that message within your content?
Yeah, 100%. And also growing up on the internet, growing up playing video games, I kind of always, especially when I was younger, there weren't many girls around. There weren't many girls who played video games. It's obviously a lot different today. But there was a lot of like discrimination against women, against girls. And I faced that every day growing up. And I kind of like I don't want people to feel that way anymore, and I don't want girls to grow up with the same like thoughts that I had to grow up with, or the same insults and the same everything. So yeah, it's a very important thing to me. It's a very important topic for me to show girls that we have a space here, and it's a fun space, and it's great, and F those people who want to discriminate us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, thank you for saying that, because that's something I really want to deep dive into, because like I said, I'm not super familiar with gaming space. I am generally familiar with Twitch and streamers and gaming streamers and that world. But I will say something that has always just really like shocked and abhorred me is seeing how commonplace it is for women to be just told over like the live chatting that happens during like video game streams, how frequent sexist comments are, and just the most disgusting, horrible remarks that are made by men towards girls and women while video gaming, to the point, and I get it, like I'm not a gamer, so I get that in, the Discord and chat rooms and stuff like that. I think they're, more harsh comments are kind of like normalized. You definitely have to have like thicker skin. But I've seen so many TikTok compilation videos of, girls and women who are streamers just being told horrific things where I'm like, oh my God, this is normal. Like, girls are actually told this while gaming, and it's so commonplace. And even when I'm looking through the comment section of those videos, you see so many men that are like, oh, you just have to have like tough skin. These are just the normal remarks that people make. You have to get used to it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, is that really the case? Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I have been like so just like horrified by the things I've seen, and I can't even imagine the things that you've experienced and seen while you're just gaming, let alone when you're streaming as well. So I don't know, what is your experience with that been?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced these things. I've definitely experienced a lot of horrible things said against me or against my friends. It's very difficult. You are under a lot of pressure being a girl playing games, because you have to perform. You have to be good at the game, because otherwise it's this cliche of all girls are bad at video games. So that's a very big thing. And then also I do think through it being documented more nowadays, it is getting better. It's still not good though. And a lot of games, there are different types of games that attract these type of players that like are mean to girls.
Gotcha.
For example, like shooter games are very big on that. And yeah, I think it is definitely still a big issue. And like you said, a lot of people are saying like, oh, you just have to have thick skin, like just all of these things. Especially as a streamer, as a female streamer, I've experienced a lot of people commenting on my looks. That's a very big thing that I don't see with a lot of male streamers. And it's a lot of the times when I say like, hey, why are you doing that? Why are you commenting on my looks, on my weight, on whatever? They're like, oh, you show your face on the internet, so I'm allowed to comment on it. And it just feels so like, that's so weird.
It's basically the equivalent of trying to justify like catcalling in real life with what's happening online. Like, just because you can say something doesn't mean that justifies that it's okay to do. And I think people online, but particularly men, get way too comfortable making comments about women. And I think, I've seen this within the content creation space. There is just an exponential level of pressure on women content creators to have so many aspects, like specific expectations of looks, of the way that they carry themselves, the way that they talk, that male content creators never really have. And I can only imagine that being, exaggerated even within the gaming space as well. And I've read previous interviews that you've done where you've talked about, kind of criticize the comfortability that people have making remarks about the way that you look, the way that you appear in streams, and just being able to say like, not only like the really nasty, horrible stuff, but even just the comfortability with making comments about like body and about the way that you look, regardless of if it's malicious or not. And I'd kind of love for you to like share your experience and your perspective on that, because I was really fascinated with what I've read with what you've shared in previous interviews.
Well, I grew up streaming. I got big when I was 18. That's when I got my big following. I'm 21 now. So there were a lot of things like I had to find myself. I had to like, kind of realize what I want to look like, what I want to do, how I do my makeup. But also we were going through the pandemic, which means I was depressed a lot. I couldn't, shower every day. I couldn't, put on makeup every day. It was too much, but I was still doing my job and trying to do my job. And people and also I gained a lot of weight, for example, and people kind of just took that and would comment on it over and over again. And then I had people photoshopping my body to make me look skinnier and being like, oh, I made her pretty, and all these things.
Oh my God.
Just horrible things that, like, if it was just me, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. But I have a young and impressionable female audience who will see that and think, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, what I'm doing is not good enough. My body doesn't look good enough. You know, I have to look perfect every day, and it's not like that. And I very much try to like tell that to people, like, you don't have to be perfect, and no one is perfect, and if you go through a rough patch, that is okay. And the fact that you got up this morning and you were able to do your job, like, to myself, like, that's great, that's incredible. And I've come such a far way. So, and also I struggled with my body issues my entire life long. My mom's a model, so, like, I grew up having like this pressure already, you know.
Yeah.
So then hearing the internet say that, and the internet doing all these nasty things, just made it really difficult for me. So I had to put out a statement saying, hey guys, don't do that. So yeah, that was a really big thing, and it's still a really big thing in my career. I've noticed that whenever I lose weight, I get like people like me more. When I gain weight, people like me less. Like, it's still a very big thing and a very big issue. But I try to work against it every day, and I try to not let it get to my head. But yeah, that's my experience.
Well, I'm so proud of you for, like, working against that, and also, like, putting out a statement, and, you know, even discouraging that. I've seen some tweets that you've made, like, in the past, I believe, where you were addressing that as well, which I think is so great, because, oh my gosh, I mean, I can only imagine the type of, I know you said, like, you care about the message that it sends to your audience, but, like, I care about how it affects you, because I can only, like, imagine the type of mental health impact that would have. I know personally for me, like, throughout my life, I've struggled with body dysmorphia as well as eating disorder, anorexia. And let me tell you, if I saw someone photoshopping my body to be skinnier, the just wormhole that would send me in of relapsing, and just that would be so difficult. And I can only imagine for you, like what you were saying, having previously struggled with, you know, body image personally, and the pressures and expectations you face there, what that would do. I mean, like, in light of you experiencing all those things, how do you really prioritize your own mental health, your own peace, to be able to get through the constant inundation of, you know, negative body comments that you receive?
It is very difficult. I'm gonna say that, like, it's a very tough thing that I struggle with to this day. But what I try to tell myself, first of all, I'm in therapy. Like, that's a really big thing. Yeah. I can talk to someone about it and, like, be grounded again, and, like, you know, realize that these are just like hateful comments, people who aren't happy with themselves, who have to comment on other people's appearances. And another thing is I work out, I eat healthy, I take care of my body. So knowing that kind of helps me with, you know, all these struggles that, or all these thoughts that go on in my head of, like, I'm not fit enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not all of these things. It's like, no, I'm taking care of myself, my body knows what it's doing. So yeah, that's one big thing. And then also, like I said, I have so many girls watching me, and I get so many comments of people being like, I have the same body type than you, and you make me feel comfortable in myself, and you make me feel confident in myself. You know, being able to, you know, show off your body, I feel like I can show off my body. I feel like my body is normal and accepted and fine, and it is. Every body is beautiful. And, you know, that's kind of helping, but again, it's a very tough thing that I struggle with. Yeah, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
you know?
that's the challenge of it, is, like, it's a daily thing. It would be so nice if you could just kind of, like, you know, slap a Band-Aid on it and be like, oh, it's done, it's fixed, we're good to go. It's like, but it really is like a daily struggle, and especially, like, when comments and all those things are something that you do receive every single day, you really have to keep yourself in check constantly. And I'm so glad you're going to therapy. Like almost every guest I've had on this podcast, like we've talked about therapy, and I'm just like such a huge fan of it because I think everyone deserves and needs to have a person that they can talk with about this kind of stuff. But also the other things that you're putting into place to make sure that your mental health is protected and that you are prioritizing yourself is great because you said you were 21, right?
Yes.
Damn. When I was 21, I was, I was in the throes of, the body image issues and everything like that. So the fact that you are already talking to a therapist, that you are, working out and doing all that is incredible. And I think a really good example and role model for your audience. Because how old would you say your primary audience of female followers is?
I would probably say between 13 and maybe 22.
Okay.
So very much adolescent, figuring themselves out, finding themselves, very impressionable. I am still very impressionable. I'm 21. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is very important.
Definitely on the younger side then. So even more important that you are kind of example of someone who is not subscribing to that. And I do really appreciate your comments that you have made either publicly or what you were just talking about on just commenting on people's body regardless. There has been a lot of conversation recently. I'm not sure if you've seen with Ariana Grande, what she recently posted about. There's a lot of discourse around her body and people speculating on what her health was. And she put out a statement that was just basically saying guys, even if you think you're saying something that's positive, even if you're saying something that you think is a compliment regarding someone's body, we should not be making it. We should not be saying those things. It doesn't matter whether it comes from a place of good intent that you think will be intended in a positive way. Just don't make remarks about people's bodies. It's not productive. It's not helpful. You don't know anything about the person's health. And, regardless, it will disrespect someone's body type in some way. So I'm glad that you're speaking up about that because I think what I've noticed on the internet is if someone does lose weight or things like that, people will comment being like, oh my God, you look so good. You look snatched, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is almost just as bad as saying a negative comment. I don't know what your thoughts and opinions are on that, but
no, I agree.
Yeah. I'm cut it out. Just stop making comments. Let's just celebrate everyone's bodies. Let's just celebrate the beauty within everyone,
Yeah, if I was I'm so many years into my fitness journey now and I'm down this many pounds and I'm, up this much muscle mass and people would be like, yeah, so proud of you. That's fine.
Yeah,
because I'm inviting you to comment on that.
Exactly.
But if it was just, me posting a bikini picture, which I don't do because I'm, people comment on my body. But if it was just me posting a picture and I've lost a lot of weight and people are like, oh my God, you lost so much weight. It's I don't need you to tell me that.
Yeah.
Because then my brain's going to internalize that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's good. And I love that you have, kind of used your platform to be able to talk about that. And most importantly, I just think that, when I was seeing the different things that you've done, I know you hosted a new series called, is it Our Reboot or just Reboot or what was it called?
Yeah, it's Rockstar Reboot.
Rockstar
Reboot. Our
Reboot. Oh yeah, because it was a collaboration with Rockstar. Yeah, which from what I was reading about and saw, your specific intent in working with that series is to inspire a bigger conversation around inclusivity within the gaming space. I know within Rockstar Reboot there was a group of Black girl gamers, which is super cool, and even you talking about how the gaming industry can be more inclusive towards women. I was like, man, Niki is just a girl's girl, I'm obviously not a part of that, but I celebrate it. I think it's so cool. And I think what you're doing online in trying to make it more inclusive is really admirable. And I'd love to know, what changes do you think need to be made within the gaming space and the online gaming industry to be more inclusive of course, girls, but even other people as well?
So I like that you said that. I love hearing that because that's one of my biggest things. I'm a girl's girl first.
Yes.
Whatever happens, the girlies, I'm on their side.
I love it.
Yeah. But I've thought about this a lot because I ever since I started, I'm also working on a podcast about inclusivity. Like, this is all like I'm very interested in it, and it's my biggest passion. And the awesome. One thing that I think is really important is that we start from where it starts, and that is the younger people. Mm-hmm. There are so many young, especially boys, who go online and then they see all these like people making fun of women, making jokes about women, or even like, you know, any marginalized community, making fun of them, hearing like people they look up to say bad things about them, and then they internalize that and they're like, oh yeah, this person said that, so it has to be right. We have a lot of really unfortunate role models, especially on the internet and especially in the gaming community. There are so many people who just will go out there, make fun about women, will say whatever they can to get a reaction, and then these young guys who see they have followers, they have money, they have everything that they want, will see that and be like, oh, I want this, so I'm gonna be that way. Oh, it's okay to be that way because these people are acting that way and they get everything that they want, so I want everything that I want. So I think we need to start with, you know, the role models and what we tell our audience and what we show our audience, because these people are really young and they don't know better, and then they hear these things and it's normal now all of a sudden, and you can make jokes about women and you can make jokes about, you know, whoever.
I completely agree, and especially like I think with the conversation around like role models, like or lack thereof, not really a bad role model, you know, I think so much of it really comes out of like people seeing the followers, the money, the popularity of, you know, individuals who are so comfortable making such sexist, degrading remarks in order to get the most extreme reaction. And this isn't even just in the gaming space. Like, oh my gosh, like, have you ever seen like straight male podcasts?
Oh my god, yes, I have. They're so like they're so bad. I personally find them funny because I know, you know, this is not like this is ridiculous, but then young guys are going to look at it and be like, oh, he's so right.
Exactly. Yeah, like I think 100%. Through our content creator lenses, like I know for me, I'm able to see this shit that's out there, and I'm like, okay, they're making comments that will incite the most intense response because they know people are going to get upset, they're going to get comments, they're going to get views, they're going to get support. That's how they work. It's a very selfish intent, and you know, I think we have the clarity to be able to see through that. But what about an 11-year-old teenage boy who's, you know, on the internet, who sees these guys who are exemplifying whatever traits he thinks are good, and he's like, wow, you know, they're so cool, they're so badass, that's exactly how I should behave. And then the victims are of course, you know, women and other minority groups who are in the online space, which is so unfortunate. And I think there's like a huge conversation that definitely needs to be had around like the incel pipeline that is, you know, online, and how I think a lot of different content creation like subcategories of the online space really do turn young men into just these you know, people who just say the most sexist, awful things. But I think that's definitely prevalent within game space too. And I love that you touched on that, because I think it really does come down to teaching young men how to really respect women, how to speak in a respectful way, how to do things that will encourage, you know, kindness rather than go for the, you know, highest amount of views and engagement and attention and all that kind of stuff. So I love that you're doing that. And I'm curious, is that I wasn't able to see your presentations at Web Summit, but are these the kind of topics that you were able to talk about there?
It was one of them, yeah. I think Web Summit was more about how to build a community. Gotcha. And how to build a good community. You know, like my community is very welcoming and loving and accepting, and I'm so proud of I love my community. So it was more of that, like, how do we like, I guess we are influencers. How do we like influence our community to be welcoming and accepting and all of that? Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That was like the main thing.
That's so cool. Well, Web Summit 2024, if you're listening, this should be the next topic. But that's cool. I love
Very
that you've
true.
been able to like speak about that as well. And not only from, you know, being like a girl's girl as well, but even in reading your interviews, I was really impressed with your level of transparency around your own mental health, the experiences that you've been through, and also kind of like the consequences that have come along with being a content creator, even online. And you touched on really going through some negative mental health experiences during the middle of the pandemic, which of course, you know, a lot of people did. You know, it was like a very traumatic time, but also just in general. And I'm curious, like, what has your personal experience been with content creation in relation to your mental health?
So it used to be, so I go through like ups and downs, like probably all of us do. And I came into this space not really knowing much about the space, like probably a lot of us do as well. And I remember back in 2021, I had a really rough patch because I was focusing on numbers too much. And that made it really bad. And then also during the pandemic, because there wasn't anything else to do, all I did was stream. So I would wake up, stream, go to bed, and I would have my bed in the same room as my PC. So I would constantly be in my work mode. I would constantly be like, what can I improve? What can I do better? How can I stream more? How can I, you know, get as much out of this as like, not like money, but like as much like just work to get like the profit. And that was really bad for my brain. I burnt out really, really badly, and couldn't stream much anymore. I would have panic attacks. Even like I would open my like stream, like it's called OBS. It's like the platform where you stream on. I would open it, and when I wanted to press start streaming, I would have a panic attack. I could not get myself to stream. I would start crying. I would start shaking. Even thinking about streaming would make me so anxious, and I would think like, is this really what I want? Because I never wanted to become a streamer. I never intended to become like anything. So like I had a really rough patch, and I was like, do I want to do this? Do I want this? But then I thought about, you know, what I've achieved so far, how many people I've inspired, my audience, and I was like, yes, I do want to do this. And I took a break, and I like re-centered myself, and I'm now the happiest that I've ever been. Like my audience has shrunk through my break, which also meant I could like weed out all the like negativity and
That's
all
true.
the like bad people. So I'm really happy now, and I love my audience now, and I love what I'm doing, and I'm really thankful because I went through that rough patch. I wouldn't recommend it. But
You're like, I don't want to
really
go through it again. No more. Just one and done.
Yeah, no more. That was fine.
Oh, that's good though. And I love that you were able to like prioritize yourself and like be able to take a break, because like that's, you know, a really extreme example of like burnout, which I think everyone honestly will kind of go through at one point in their life, especially if you're like passionate about your work and you're like driven and you really just like love what you do. I think it's inevitable that at some point you'll be like, oh my God, I'm working way too much. I'm getting super stressed out. This is not healthy anymore. And the fact that you were able to take a break and learn that so early on is really great, because I've definitely experienced like, you know, similar things of just extreme burnout and having to like take those breaks and realize, okay, I need to chill the fuck out and just relax a little bit, separate my work environment from my personal environment, you know, all of that. And I think that's really cool. And, also, I'm curious as well, because I was reading about this too, which I was like, I didn't even know this about you. Are you currently studying, or are you wanting to study to become a psychiatrist? Was that a goal before? Is it still a goal? Because I saw that you primarily wanted to do it to be able to specifically work within the mental health space with youth and even with content creators as well. And I'm kind of curious, like, what drives that passion for you?
So I always wanted to become a psychiatrist. Before I became a content creator, I was on the way to study psychology. Okay. I had like extra classes at school with like sociology, psychology, and like out of these classes, and then I always wanted to study in English. So I applied for a university in the UK, and that's why I moved over there. But then the pandemic hit, and I decided, okay, I'd rather just focus on my work right now because it's going well. I still want to revisit becoming a psychiatrist. I'm currently taking classes to become a counselor,
That's
just
so
so I can do
cool.
something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've always wanted to work with children. Just because I feel like I have a lot of experience in that field. I used to be a babysitter. I love working with children. But now that I'm a content creator, I would love to help other content creators. I would love to become a psychiatrist, like specifically for content creators. So because I feel like when you have a therapist, like you can explain to them as much as you want, but they won't always understand.
Yes.
So yeah, I still want to do it. I'm still going to do it at some point, but right now I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I don't really have time to study medicine.
Yeah. Don't stress yourself out, because that is a very intensive journey to go down for sure. But I think that's really, really cool, particularly because like you were saying, in the content creation space, there's definitely unique perspectives and problems and situations that you kind of find yourself in that maybe people wouldn't, a standard therapist wouldn't be able to understand at the depth that you would be able to provide. Also, I think just the energy that you have around you and your conversational ability, you would be such a good therapist. Like, I think you would be awesome at it. I definitely think like you could make so much change. And also, if you do, for however long you can continue, streaming or creating content, I think it would be so beautiful if you were to integrate a lot of the things that you learn, a lot of the lessons that you've learned from the clients you've worked with, or from even studying the mental health space, and incorporating that into your content and into the messages you kind of share online. I think that would be so cool. I don't know, I guess that's like a fan request from me. If you ever consider it. I have no idea how long you'll consider streaming, but I feel like there's always a need for more integration of mental health topics into just the online world and everything that we're kind of seeing there. And I really hope you do pursue that at some point. I feel like that would you're like perfect for it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I agree. And I love like working like with mental health. I love showing people this, like, that mental health is a thing, and that we have to take care of our mental health. And I love stuff like this, like your podcast. When I heard about it, I was like, that is so amazing. I think you're doing such a great job with like, showing people the like rawness and like, realness of content creators, because you always see the good side, and there isn't just a good side. So I love that. And yeah, I do that myself as well. So yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you so much for the kind words that you were saying. I mean, that's really like what I wanted this podcast to be about, is just a safe place for people to be able to open up, be a little bit more vulnerable, and talk about mental health. Because I think as social media grows, as the internet grows, we're seeing, the negative implications of it from a mental health perspective. But I think what you're doing and the work that you're doing and the example that you're kind of providing, particularly to a really young audience, is so inspiring. And I think even aside from what you've posted and what you've talked about, I think just the energy, and why I was even drawn to like talking to you and like connecting first at Web Summit, is I was like, oh, she's just brings such a positive energy and has just such a cool, like, radiant personality, and I've seen that as I've been able to follow you, and then of course being able to chat with you. So like, thank you for taking this time. I want to ask like one last question, just like I guess a rapid fire question that I love to ask some guests. What is your top mental health tip that you utilize or you have for other people?
It's very like, I guess basic, but it's very important to me, and that is mindfulness. Being able to ground yourself.
Yes.
A lot of the times you are in a million things, and a million things happen, and you're just up in the sky, and you're like, I need to do this and that, and kind of coming back to yourself, grounding yourself. Journaling is like a really like important thing. And what I find is sometimes you don't want to write. Sometimes you don't want to sit there and write into a book. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, especially when you're not feeling well. You don't want to do it. Find like what I do is I just record my voice. I just record myself, like kind of just just saying things, saying whatever comes to my mind, and then my mind is clear again, and I can kind of refocus and recenter. I also, like, I love my Google Calendar. I love my lists. Whenever I'm stressed, I open up spreadsheet and I literally plan out all of my things and write them down. So I think that is one big thing. Yeah, because my life is so chaotic, and a lot of people's lives are so chaotic, and you don't always find time for yourself. So I think, you know, kind of recentering yourself is so important a lot of the times, and you don't notice it until you did it. So yeah,
that is so great.
I think that's one big thing.
I completely agree with mindfulness. Like, definitely, like, any type of mindfulness you could do, for me it's like meditation, but journaling, definitely a form of meditation. All that, like, I could not agree more. I think for me as well, that's like the best that you do. So I love that you shared that. I mean, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and opening up. I really appreciate it. I mean, where can people follow you on the socials?
So first of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm so excited. This was great. You can find me everywhere as Nihachu, Nihachu. I have different variations of it on different websites. Instagram is with 2 A's and 2 U's at the end, you know, taken names and stuff.
We'll pop it up on the screen for you as well.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Of course.
You're amazing. It was such a delight to be able to talk to you. Everyone, please go follow her. Please go support if you haven't already. And thank you so much for everyone who tuned in to listen to this episode and you hear her story. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Justaposition YouTube channel so that you can see new episodes with other content creators, each of which have amazing stories, just like Niki. And this has been a presentation of Cadence 13 on Odyssey Studio. New episodes out wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Mwah.